Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Straight Talk Commerce. I'm David Layton, here with Ian Slade and Wayne Altman for another episode of getting everybody to the next level. Fellas, 30 days left. We just hit June 1st, end of the second quarter, and I'm excited to the podcast is growing, revenue's growing. Ian, welcome. I'm going to kick it over to you.
Thanks, David. Yep, June 1st indeed. And it's a great way to start out the month with what are the top 10 business searches so far for 2024? Can you believe it? We're already talking about June here. And we have Wayne here to break that down for us. What's a good thing to go into? What's not? What's hot? And let's jump right in. But before we do, Wayne, if you don't mind, let's talk about our episode so far. How many subscribers and all the love that we're getting with this podcast.
It's been amazing. I mean, right now, 75 subscribers. We went up 44 subscribers in one night, and our views have been off the charts as far as for having as little content. We understand we have as little content as we do, but yeah, it's been pretty surprising to see how quickly we are growing, and there's a lot of hard work that goes into that. So we definitely appreciate it and hope you guys notice that we're getting better at doing this as we go along.
It's hard when you're dealing with amateurs here. So thanks for your patience, Wayne. Now, talk to us a little bit about the seminar in September.
So September, we're eyeing dates right now in seminar, and as time goes on, but I want everyone that's listening to kind of a tank atmosphere. We'll have a couple different, if you need money for your business, we'll have a couple scholarships that we'll be handing out. We want to bring some very intelligent, very sharp people to evaluate businesses. It is definitely going to be a lot of fun about drop shipping, learn about all different types of e-commerce businesses, and do it around people and network with people that are also interested in that exact same thing. We're looking forward to putting that on in September. And as we get a little bit closer to the date and we nailed some things down, we are definitely going to be sharing that information with you.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's jump right into it. So I'm looking at our list here. It seems like the first one that comes up in terms of top 10 business searches is artificial intelligence. No surprise there. Now, David, this is your forte here. What would you advise people who are either starting out in their businesses, people who are looking at jumping into, move W2 to their own business? Where should they start? There's so much hype around AI. It's everywhere. For that are just tuning in, starting out, what should they do first?
Well, I'd certainly start getting in action. There's ways to get information, see how people are using, simple. Start with ChatGPT, start playing with it, talking to it. We Straight Talk Commerce, we have 2 generative AI think tanks every week as part of our program, just to really give all of our listeners and community a chance to help each other, share new tools, just get up to speed, because there's so much you can do to lay the foundation just for areas you hadn't even thought of. So sometimes it's like retraining ourselves. Then you can ask it, here's my goals. What should I be doing to hit my goals? So I think that's it. Right now, there's just such a plethora of tools and programs out there that you can get lost. We've come with a few of our favorites that we'll share tonight. But again, these are changing rapidly. So we'll keep kind of check in, but certainly some tools and ChatGPT, and we show some examples of how we're using it a little later. But I'd start there.
All right. And Wayne, I think we can put in our podcast notes, right? Some of the tools that we have, links, we can add that as part of when people go to view the podcast. Isn't there a place where we can add some notes?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, are interested in anything that's going to help them run their business better and get them answers and run their business a little smoother, whether it's customer service to help with customer service, whether it's AI to help with their marketing, operational processes. You know, I mean, the tools are many and varied. The application for this is stunning, and how quickly we are adopting this into our business lives. So it was natural that there would be an increase in search about that topic. A, because very few people know how to use it, and B, it's big technology, and a lot of people are dying to get their hands on some of that, because we use it every day here at Straight Talk Commerce, and it is really helping us explode what our capabilities are. So yeah, I can imagine that being a very highly searched topic.
Do you need a way to reduce your stress and anxiety? Music can have a profound impact on you emotionally and physically. Music can produce healing and allow you to deal with trauma and painful situations. With 8,000 hours of binaural beats, solfeggio, guided meditation, and 17,000 audiobooks, MelodyClouds places everything in one single place. Sign up for a 60-day trial for just $2.99, then $5.99 monthly. Our yearly membership is $59.99 for a very limited time.
This one is near and dear to my heart. Remote and hybrid work models. I've been working remote since 2007, so almost 20 years. And one that I was even able to do was to work remotely from Mexico. So now I'm thinking about, okay, work from California is starting to get to be really expensive. People are moving out. I break this down. There's so many things we can touch upon this. In terms of location, right? I know folks are moving to Bali, folks that are moving to Costa Rica. What are the pros and cons of working remote? Let's say your client is in the US, right? Working remote within the US, outside the US. What are the pros and cons? What do you guys think? And how is it from a customer service standpoint, right? So picture yourself as the employer and you have someone in, let's say, Indonesia, different time zones and all of that. So let's break that down for folks who are thinking about, let me just move to a cheaper place and I'll just do this work remotely. Let's start with you, David. What do you think?
Well, do your homework for one. If you're thinking about permanently moving somewhere, I have many friends that have moved to Lisbon, Portugal.
Right.
Their shoes, right? I mean, you make sure it's straight. You know, now that internet hasn't been a problem. My communication with them, electricity has not either. Some of my friends that have moved to Costa Rica or to Puerto Rico, they have had those issues. So I think of it and plan. Yeah, and the time zones, time zones. So I don't see that as much of an issue. But I would just think downtime and taxes would be my top two things to really think about. Wayne, what do you think?
Well, look, you've got to look at it from the employer perspective and the employee perspective. So the pros for an employer is you get your employee to work more hours if they are working from home. If they can work from anywhere, they can work more hours and be more productive. Cons for that, though, is less esprit de corps. You have a company that aren't as familiar with one another. They can't get on track with one another nearly as well as that personal touch. We came through a pandemic where people got very used to working from home. Now, on the employee side, you can work from anywhere. You can work in whatever clothing. You're not doing a Zoom like this. You can work pretty much wearing whatever it is you want. You didn't have to go anywhere. You could bring food in. I'll tell you guys a little bit of a secret. My wife's friends make serious fun of me because I work from a home office. And on Life 360, sometimes it says I don't leave my home for weeks at a time. And that to me is a very big pro. Okay. I enjoy that work. Now, some of the people that I do work for would probably like to see me more present occasionally. And there you go with some of the cons. You lose some of that touch And cons for an employee is you end up working, most of us end up working far more than we ever did before because it's so, so available.
True. If you don't clock in, you also don't clock out, right? So
Okay.
now let's talk a little bit about the hybrid work models. There are a lot of WeWork type places, where congregate to work. They're not particularly from the same company, but they just want to be around folks and not as noisy as Starbucks, right? So what do you guys think about these hybrid work models where people kind of congregate together? They're in a work environment, but they're not, with their coworkers. It just seems like it because, your other people on their laptops doing work or on Zoom calls like what we're doing. Is that sustainable? Is that the way of the future? What do you guys think about this?
I think it is. Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I do. I think we're going to see a heck of a lot more of it going forward. Number one, because people are far more entrepreneurial now than they have been in the last 30 or 40 years. A lot of people are not making a living working for their employer. Their employer has taken a long time to give them a raise. They're not keeping up with inflation. And find out we're making less and less and less. So we've got to somehow supplement that income. And that is bad news for employers, because when your employees start supplementing their income and start moonlighting, that to turn into their own business. And it's good for the employees when that happens, but it's not so good for the employer when that happens.
Well, and look, I think it can be an opportunity for employers that want to shift their thinking and are willing to still let people be remote. Maybe have them work at a local WeWork or one of the other co-working places, because enable people to be effective, work where they want, where they're comfortable. They have to manage to it. Internet first started, the web browsers came out in 93, 94. I went and saw the C3Com. I'm not sure if 3Com's still around, but what he spoke about was, the internet's here. People are going to work remote. Everybody, save fortunes, the other things, cut down on commute time, etc. But then there really just wasn't the infrastructure and the bandwidth to support that at the time, the early to mid 90s. There kind of the argument I've been hearing over and over again about why, an early pandemic said, oh, okay, we're going to be remote forever. People sold their houses in some cases, left. Now all of a sudden they want them to come back. And then some of the arguments I've heard, oh, well, the companies are paying for this office space. What kind of argument is that? They're their mistake and things they can deal with. Right. And, some excuse. And just, the type of role, some people are hard to find. Programmers are hard to find in the Silicon Valley, right? Now I can hire somebody in,
Let me tell you something. The lose in a gig economy, which is what they seem determined to create. Employers long-term lose in a gig economy. You end up paying far more than you would have normally if you had just kept your employees and kept them happy and kept them on pace with inflation and kept them in the system. This is going to be disastrous in the future, mark my words, for people who do not recognize that we really employee to go to a gig economy and have more of that on themselves. That's all I'm saying.
So follow up to that, what should employers do to get their people more engaged, understanding that a lot of them are working remote or hybrid? How can they buy into the mission of the company so they feel like they're not just the machine, rather they're part of the mission of the business, and in a way the business also their business and not just for dollars? If what advice would you give employers who to keep that engagement up in this new environment that we find ourselves in?
I'd say
Well,
be very intentional, right? There's a lot you can do with that, fun Zoom or Teams, networking, breakout rooms, right? Well-being activities, for companies that want to keep their people, to make sure that the people know they got their back. teach them AI, put them through classes, let them know you want to train them to be more effective for you. Because there's a lot of fear out there. And I get it every week, then, oh, it's a bad time to look for a job. I hear that every Friday at my job search strategy session. Oh, this, oh, that. It's like you just have to, are there a lot of people on the streets? I think that just means you have to be more strategic and be one step ahead. That's all that means.
Wayne?
I am going to make our first t-shirt this quote: anything you want more of, anything you want more of. So if you want your employees to better buy in, you need to make incentives for them to buy into your mission, whether that is monetary, whether that is benefits, whether that is racetrack. I don't know. It's for everybody to make that decision and find out what works. But it doesn't matter whether it is a emotional relationship, a marriage, a child relationship. Anything that you incentivize, you will get more of.
100%. All right. Changing gear a little bit, but still in the similar vein, online businesses. A lot of folks, to your point, Wayne, are thinking about what side hustle can I do? Again, especially if you're living in California, I just saw the report that the median price of houses in California is 900,000 median. So it's not enough to have both, you now need to have a side hustle just to keep up with the bills. So for folks who are thinking about jumping into online businesses, listening to this in their cubicle, driving home, what advice can we give to start off with?
Okay, so I would say to anybody within the sound of my voice listening to this, what goes up will come down. Okay. Nothing up forever. So yes, the median housing price is around 900,000 in California. Crazy, right? And guess what? That is not going to last for very much longer, because the demand for that is not going to last very much longer. Matter of fact, the demand for very cheap housing is getting stronger every single day. That being said, look, being pressured into having their own business, which is a good thing. I mean, it's a very good thing that we are breaking free of the mindset of, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to get a degree, and I'm going to go to work for somebody else. And the reverse of that is true. I'm going to get an education. That's why you're here. You're going to get an education, and you're going to go off and take the risk and responsibility on yourself and the sky's the limit as far as the reward goes. As hard as you work, we're going to help you reap bigger and bigger rewards.
So David, help me out here. I'm working in an accountant firm, for example, math, not really sure what kind of business I should do on the side. Haven't really think about it. What are the thought processes or things that I can do to think about what my side hustle could be in terms of online businesses?
In today's competitive job market, simply applying for roles isn't enough. Let me show you a smarter approach. Hi, I'm David Leeton with over 30 years of executive search expertise. Together, we'll unlock hidden opportunities. By leveraging the Woody Network and LinkedIn, we'll target companies on the rise where your skills truly shine. Let's explore unadvertised roles in growth-focused companies, aligning your aspirations with thriving organizations. Together, we'll craft a personalized strategy to connect you with the career opportunities you deserve. Experience a tailored approach that goes beyond traditional job hunting, paving the way for your professional success. Join me on this journey to unlock your full potential and secure a fulfilling role in a company you admire. Let's navigate the job market together, leveraging my expertise to guide you towards your dream career path. It's time to step into a future where your professional journey is defined by purpose and passion. Let's make it happen. Discover a new way to approach job hunting, tailored to your unique strengths and ambitions. Your success story starts now. When you are ready, contact us at witty.com.
Look, I'd say a need in the marketplace. looking at what all inspires you. What do you like doing? I've had some friends that have really capitalized on the pickleball growth, whether they're selling equipment or renting things like that, right? I think there's opportunity. Ebb started, and .coms grew, and in the 2000s, saw many of our community members that would have had a full-time job, and then started just selling jewelry through a website because that's what they enjoyed doing, right? So I think there's a lot of possibilities and a lot of easy ways to get something up and running fairly quickly. But make sure it's something fun that you like to do if you have a full-time job and you're doing this as a side hustle.
Wayne, what do you think?
Well, look, my brother-in-law enjoyed karaoke. I mean, I love to sing, man. And so he bought for himself and his family, bought a karaoke machine. Next thing I know, he's got a van with his karaoke machine. He's going to parties. People are inviting him every which way. He's making definitely a nice addition to retirement and having a ball. I could probably name at least 6 photographers I know that started off taking pictures and showing people, and once people saw their pictures on their Instagram or saw pictures that they had taken, at a party, business was born. Okay. For example, Reagan, she is an incredible baker. So I come home and half the time my kitchen is destroyed because she's making a cake and cupcakes and cookies for half of the free world, it seems like. So these things are all around us. Everyone needs to answer that question individually. And the best way is the same way that I research what we're going to talk about on each one of these podcasts. I do a search on Google, I do a search on YouTube, and find out what questions are people asking. So look around you and say, what are people asking me for? That's a very good way of determining where you fit in, because in your neighborhood, it may be computer help. A lot of people around you may need computer help. And in some, for their door, decorations for their door. Okay. So this is a question that answers itself, Ian. It is a question that will answer itself if you will listen.
One thing I'd like to add too is join communities, right? If you're interested in rowing, for example, join a rowing team and see what they need. Witty has communities that you can look into, groups, people that you can ask, hey, things that you need that you're not doing right now. So just asking folks, what do you need, right? And what's missing? What could be improved? If you had this one widget, what would it be that would make you better at whatever it is you're doing? And I think finding, as you mentioned, karaoke, if that's what you're into, because at the end of the day, you need to invest a lot of time, effort. And if it's not something that you like, not something you're passionate about, you're going to give up. As you said, Wayne, most people that start podcasts don't get past podcast number 6. Why? Wasn't really something they wanted to do. And as we're learning right now, it is hard, especially for you, Wayne, to build the post-production. So it has to be something that you're passionate about. All right, switching gears here a little bit. Let's talk about sustainability and green business practices, right? So it's all the buzz. Everyone wants to be in renewable energy. Everyone wants to be in the sustainable business models. Is this something that people can just jump into? What are some of the things that they can read about, learn about, if they're interested in green business practices? What would you advise, again, for people who are either at their cubicle or driving home?
Well, look, there is a number of ways of looking at this. You can come at this from every single angle. You can come at it from you're going to sell products that will, be more, water, for example. Or you come at it from I'm going to collect other people's belongings, refurbish them, and put them back on the market, whether it's clothing, whether it's furniture, whatever it is. I'm going to take all away junk, the things that people do not want, and I'm going to make sure that they are disposed of properly. So there's so many different angles that you can come at this problem from that one of us fits into one of those angles. We all going to argue. I almost didn't put this in the list, by the way, because people are a little weird with this. But listen, we should be cleaner. There's a question, we should reuse things and do in a more eco-friendly manner. No one is advocating going and dumping a bunch of garbage somewhere. No one wants to live like that, okay? There are ways of going about this where you don't come off like a crunchy nut either.
I'd like to share one thing. One of the best services that I have that I enjoy in my house is the garbage bin cleaning that happens every month. I pay 23 bucks and the guy comes around with his machine, picks up, my bin, sanitizes it for $23 for 2 bins. It's insane. Like I went as far as talking to the driver and asking, for boss's information because I would love to be part of this business. It's just something that I don't know. I personally am truly fascinated by clean garbage bins, and I'm so proud that mine literally is cleaned up every single month and it's sanitized. So yeah, there's so many ways to get at this. David, your thoughts on the green eco business?
Well, a few things. First of all, I've heard there are many businesses like the one you described, Ian, but they're looking for people to take over territories and
Correct. Yeah,
plant
they
stuff
cover
like that.
all of Orange County. They barely cover all of Irvine. True.
Right. So that's one opportunity. I think looking at problems. I saw somebody speak recently that was behind kind of this concentrate, right? So now when you buy Tide, you can use less. It's concentrated.
Mm.
That's a fortune with packaging, with shipping and supply chain and gas and everything else, right? So I think, and ask AI. Here's what inspires me. I'd love to see what are some opportunities to improve supply chain, be more effective in producing a product. When we look at G and sustainability, in a lot of industries, they had looked for that as like a point and a cost point. Now they can use that as a way to really promote what they're doing and as a marketing tool on why people would want to do business with them.
All right. So one of the things that separates, in my mind, our podcast from everyone else is we actually go into the tangible steps that you can do and not just the theories. So, all right, walk me through this, Wayne. I really want to get into, let's say, recycling. That's something I'm passionate about. I know nothing about starting this. What can I do to get started?
Well, he loves the AI, GPT. Well, 100%. I mean, he prompted it correctly. It is pretty smart when it comes to questions like this.
Okay.
Where you live,
Sure.
the answer is going to be different. I
Okay.
have never heard of anyone coming around and sanitizing my garbage cans, and now I want that. Okay.
Pretty cool, right?
Cans are sitting on the side of my house right now, stinking like crazy. And I have to do that every couple months just so I can stand to be around them. So just knowing something exists, that's the first thing. So educate yourself on what the possibilities, what people are looking for, right? I'm hearing right now, Ian, is about 50 to 70 people typing away furiously, trying to find one of those machines for their area so they can get into that business. I mean, he sounds like a genius move, if you're asking me. And it really comes down to formulating a plan, okay? Educating yourself on what you're going to do, right? Because that opportunity is going to present itself. Formulate a plan and promoting that, okay? Because you can't do anything in a black hole. You have to, just like this podcast, you have to promote it and place it in front of people. So it should be promoted extremely intelligently. And those are the steps for any business. If you have a plan, you know where the source of the product is coming from, you know how product is going to be promoted and pushed out the other end. all the stuff in the middle matters less than those two ends.
That actually fits right into our next topic, health and wellness products, right? We have folks in our group that are experts in this area. So David, all right, so I'm, Nordstrom, for example, I'm such a health nut, gym time, healthy eating, all of that. And now I really want to make my hobby or passion, I should say, into a business. So I want to start my own, let's say, supplement line. What should I do? Don't do it.
Look, if you don't have experience in that area, I would, again, use ChatGPT. You can look at, we have bio. We've talked a lot about these custom. Yeah, something like that just seems tougher to get into, but research it, right? You could find companies that'll make product for you. You don't have to do it all yourself. I'd ask Jim, I'd see what are they selling, what's hot, what's not, do a lot of reading. Where are the gaps? Wayne, what do you think?
Look, I'm so glad you asked me this question. I sat here biting my tongue. Look, we're talking about people and we're telling people do what you love, right? So there are a lot of people that know a lot about vitamins and supplements and skincare and all kinds of things. That is a hobby. My youngest daughter, Morgan, that's her hobby. She's doing that. She's a junior in high school. And she knows more about that than most adults I know at that age, because she is familiar with those products and she knows what she likes. She's come to me recently and wants to white label her own version of these makeup products and stuff. And the last guy on the planet that is going to discourage my daughter from doing something like that, because it's a hell of an educational are you kidding me? I mean, I'd be prouder if she came to me and said, hey, Dad, I want to do this, and this is what I know about it, and I'm willing to learn even more. So, look, you cannot on one hand tell people, do what you love, do the things that you are passionate about, and then discourage them from actually reaching out and going for it. I don't want anyone that's not an area that you shouldn't go for. 100% it is. Every restaurant in the United States sells a hamburger. That does not mean you should not go and open up a hamburger stand.
100%. And some people, they make a lot of revenue, not from creating this, but just talking about it in social media, right? Promoting the products that they love, showing you how to use these products. So I think different areas that you can jump into. You can create your own product line. You can promote someone else's, show them how to use it best, or you can help someone who already has a product line and be a distributor, right? So I think there's a lot of ways to go at this. But you're right.
By the way, this is a list of the top 10 business searches. So there are people that are looking into right now. This is number 5 on the top 10 business searches. There are a hell of a lot of people that are looking to get into this business. So go for it.
All right. Number 6, 5G and Internet of Things, right? This is a little bit more harder to jump into if this is not your field, but it is very exciting. And I think that, almost appliance that we have has, some Internet of Things connected to it. It's receiving Wi-Fi, it's sending data. So if this is what you're passionate about, the future of Internet of Things, going back to you, David, outside of GPT, what are the things that people can do to become more informed and learn more about how to get into the Internet of Things?
Well, look, it's all about data. It's about new trends, everything. You can put so many devices now and tools. You can put FRID chips in, gather the data through your cell phone, through other things. But I think and some applications are very easy to use. I'll kick it over to Wayne to talk to us about the paywall on its hotspot that sometimes he uses at volleyball games. Right, Wayne? Do you want to share?
Yeah. Listen, I sat here listening to Ian a second ago, and I look, too often think of the cute Etsy store as e-commerce or the Shopify store as e-commerce. Let me explain something to you. There are a lot of people right now that are selling Verizon services. They're selling Frontier services. They are making hundreds of millions of dollars by selling those to manufacturing, healthcare, to agricultural companies. And these guys, it's a 1 or 2 man operation. I am familiar with a very good friend of mine, godfather to my youngest. I just mentioned Morgan. Her godfather makes a pile of money working out of his home office, selling 5G and Internet of Things, and does very, very well. That industry, you don't have to work from one of the big, to work for one of the big names. You can go into business for yourself and secondary sell those services and make an absolute insane amount of money.
Absolutely. I'm working with a company called GreenSpark, and we're looking at the opportunities for putting in 5G and better connectivity in parts of West Africa. So if this is something for folks who are listening, if you're interested in this, reach out to us and we can help you get into this line of business. All right. Here's a topic that will never go away: cybersecurity. So for folks who are interested in protecting privacy data, how can they get into this? If you're, this is a day job, but you're really passionate about protecting things, Wayne, where should they start? Where should they go? What are some of the groups that they can join to get started?
Well, once you're certified, there's places, college courses that you can take to get certified. There are certifications, cybersecurity, locking down networks, hackers. There are a plethora of very small businesses that specialize in what we saw too long ago was the retrieval of crypto, by a couple of guys, and they a lot of money for retrieving that crypto out of that wallet. Okay, cybersecurity doesn't necessarily mean stopping hackers, and also mean plugging holes and preventing the intrusion to begin with. It can mean testing against your network against that attack.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, again, this subject very wide and very deep, and the opportunities are just as deep. And so anyone with an interest in cybersecurity, setting up networks, the possibilities are serious, depending on where you live, endless. And in some of the smaller areas, the possibilities are even better than having to compete in an area like New York, LA, Chicago, or what have you. If you're in the middle of the country and your specialty is cybersecurity, guess what? You've got a really great opportunity in front of you.
100%. And we're also at the frontier of quantum computing, and that will break through every encryption that we have right now. So there's a new race in terms of how to protect, using quantum folks who have that tool in the future. So I think this will be with us, for us. We have Wi-Fi and connectivity. People are going to try to get in to places that they have no business being in. So awesome. All right. Social media marketing. So a lot of people are talking about social media in a very negative light right now. We have, our own legend ban TikTok. What are your thoughts about, let's set aside the social aspect of the media, but just focusing on the business side, the entrepreneurial side, for people who want to leverage social media for their businesses. What are the things that they can start learning about, and where should they start? Should they try to do all of the outlets, or should they put their energy into one? What is your advice?
Well, again, I hate saying it, but research, right? And there's so many different things, whether it's Pinterest or YouTube, right, the second largest search engine in the world, TikTok. Use some of the AI tools. The Opus that I think Wayne's going to talk about in future episodes, maybe even later today, that will just create clips for you that you can put on TikTok, and put on YouTube Shorts and things like that. But there's so many, each semi full-time job, it can be, right, with the analytics and digging in. If you want to do it right, Just try not to spread yourself too thin when you start. That would be my advice. Wayne?
Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of I mean, you're right, don't yourself too thin, but you definitely need to spread yourself. Because most of the social media marketing or social media are political platforms. They're not social media as such. It's not an equal playing field for everybody on the political spectrum. It never has been. It probably never will be. Therefore, if you are going to go with one social media platform, you need to go with several social media platforms, because you're probably going to get kicked off of one, and you're going to concentrate on the other, as what happens to me from time to time. TikTok, for example, may go away. We don't know yet. It may go away overnight. So all those TikTok stars should be sweating bullets if they don't have a presence on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook. If they're any other platform, they're going to be really, really hurting in the coming months, because I honestly believe that TikTok has a target on it. And rightfully, if all the acts are true, it should have a target on its back. They need to clean up their act. Twitter, all of these, Facebook, all of these have a particular political bent to them that needs to be navigated. Bottom line.
I think it would be a great time to talk a little bit about your book, Wayne, how to get 100,000 followers in 90 days.
100%. I would love to talk about that. We're almost to print. We're almost finished with it, and I'm very excited about it because it gives you actionable steps. I mean, you guys can about it all you want, but it lays out the exact steps it will take for you to reach 100,000, because that's a magic number. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but 100,000 followers on any social platform really is a magic number. That's when you can really, really monetize a media platform, and it become very, very profitable to do so. So what I give you a systematic step-by-step roadmap. You follow that roadmap, you will end up at the destination, and that should be over. Actually, I could have named it more than 100,000 followers in 90 days, because if you go into this and really apply the effort and do the things, all of it I ask you to do in this, you're going to be successful.
And we're going to try it out for our own podcast.
We are indeed.
And share, the successes and failures and the work things with you guys. So stay tuned for that.
I will also say that the people that watch this regularly, our subscribers, and the people that will like and they will comment, they might be surprised with a copy of their own. Wow. So we'll be doing some testing with some of our own followers. I would be very interested to see if you are watching this and you give us a thumbs up and you've subscribed. Don't be surprised to find me, sneaking around in the comments and handing out copies of this book. I want your opinion on it. That's who I want to know. I'm trying to help you. You are the one that I want to know if this is worthwhile. So how
Absolutely. About that? That's great. All right. Moving along with item number 9, blockchain and cryptocurrency. So David, I think you were pretty early in the crypto conversation way back when. Remember when Ken, what's the other guy's name? The child actor. Yeah, back in like 2015. You're pretty early on this. So for folks who are just paying attention to blockchain and crypto, is this something that people should still look into? Is this a dying industry? What's going on with blockchain and crypto?
Look, I think it's all just starting. There's cryptocurrency and clearly Bitcoin and Ethereum and sets. You'll see other come and go, but I think that blockchain is here to stay, and just that technology, especially as we move forward with AI and have to really keep track of ownership rights of all these digital assets. So I feel going to see a convergence of AI in the third quarter this year or fourth quarter this year, 2025. Learn it. We're about to launch a new on LinkedIn. We have an article going out this week by Nandika Hederachi. We'll have him on the show, who's such an expert in that area. Yeah, so keep it. It's some deep technology, but it's about managing assets and tracking assets.
Smart
And
contract.
I think, in cybersecurity, you guys were talking about, we saw the ransomware case, or the attack at Caesars and happened at MGM. That was more recently. But there's ransomware as a service platforms that the criminals can use to take data from companies, hold them hostage. So one area I know that companies really have a hard time is just getting their systems back up off of their backup. That's some things you can learn. AI and cybersecurity you can learn. It mentions, yes, there's a bunch of companies that'll do these certifications or certificate programs, and that's great. But if you first kind of look at what you're interested in, you can really go deep on LinkedIn, and maybe we'll get into that in future episodes and see, okay, what did the security people at that company or just any of the people, what certificates do they have? What is this company clearly like? And then maybe hone in on what you're going to spend your time on. So yeah, it's a shared approach. And the person that's going to, do the diligence and take their time and really target ahead of the game.
Awesome. Blockchain.
I
Thoughts?
definitely have some cryptocurrency. I purchased N2. I'm waiting for it to, come to fruition and realize its promise. I do understand what they're trying to do. It is so far not quite there yet. And the headwinds blockchain have is now the emergence of AI. There are security issues. There are power, for example, power. The powered cryptocurrency and blockchain are now shifting over to AI as well as the electricity to run that. So you saw, I'm a gamer. So anybody listening, I'm also a gamer. And I used to get very angry because all of the good video cards were over in the crypto knuckleheads trying to find coins on the ground. And I couldn't get a good, decent video card to play some of the newer games. That infuriated me. And now that everything is settled down and NVIDIA is now making cards for gamers and cards for crypto, and now they're having to worry about chips for AI. So look, we're all fighting over a limited resource, or a number of resources, electricity, power being one of those things. Look, jury is still out, and it may take longer for these things to come to fruition, but I do still see promise.
Awesome. All right. So for folks who are still listening, we are down to number 10, employee wellness and mental health. I think there's a lot of opportunities here. One of the things that happened with social media is that you have 40,000 friends, but you're actually lonelier than before social media came about. For men especially, I read a study, it is now the 4th leading cause of death, not necessarily being alone, but what happens when you're experiencing prolonged loneliness. So mental health is a great area to get into. Employee well-being, David, you have a lot to say about this. How do you get people engaged in talking to other people? And lastly, Press Ganey, year after year come out with reports saying that if an employee has a best friend at work, they tend to stay longer. So this is, I think, a great opportunity for people who are interested in well-being and mental health. I think this is great to get into now more than ever. But Wayne, again, I'm working in accounts payable. I want to jump into this. Where do I start?
Well, this is a question for me, I think, because number one, MelodyClouds. I took action. I made an app that is a relaxation and meditation app. It's in 103 countries. Seems to be very popular. The people that are using it, they absolutely love it. But David and I and we recently took up steps with Odyssey. We created a men's group. We already had a place where we go and congregate and meet with one another and learn. And so that's a big part of this as well. So anyone that is looking for something some, way to meet people where you don't have to leave your home necessarily, and you can go in and have fun with another and talk about serious issues. That would definitely be, we'll put links in the the description of this podcast. I would suggest that. But also to people that are looking for a good business, this is a great business for you to do some research on and to possibly get. You're actually doing a lot of good for people when being offered than less.
100%. All right, David, you get the last word. Employee well-being and mental health. People who want to get into this, where do they start?
Well, I think there's a few things. First of all, getting into it, as a with doing it yourself for your own well-being. I schedule a meditation to walk my dog, things like that. With Odyssey, with Witty, with Talk e-commerce community. There's ways you can build communities on top of communities, so it's not such a big lift. Be a leader in your company, champion some of these programs within your company. That gets you exposure to the people higher up or to customers that you want to approach. Right what happened. I had people teaching yoga classes remotely, many different things that could do good for the world as well as bring in some revenue.
All right, so there you have it, folks. The top 10 searches for businesses for 2024 so far. We went through it. And again, this is not just us talking to you. We want to hear what you're thinking, questions you might have for our experts here, and let us help you get to where you want to go. Wayne, any last words before we close out episode number 4?
Well, look, we have, I wanted to go over the top 10 businesses with the highest chance of success.
Go for it.
And so we'll do that in a future podcast. But,
Sure.
look, there's between, the top businesses and the ones that are going to give you the absolute top success. And we'll talk about that in the next episode. And we'll also talk about our favorite AI tools that we like to use, because we keep hinting that we're going to do that. And we just never come through. So we'll do it in a part 2.
Yes, sir. We'll do episode 5. We'll jump right into the tools so people can see, what we are using day to day. And also, Wayne, if you can take folks behind the scene with how we do post-production. So for folks who are interested in starting their own podcast, you can show a little bit about how we do things. So, all right, with that, folks, thank you so much. I think this was very helpful. I personally learned a lot. Hope folks listening learned a lot too. And don't be a stranger. Share, like, comments, and as Wayne mentioned, you might get a surprise ebook. So,
in today's rapidly evolving healthcare landscape, effective project management is more crucial than ever. Many organizations struggle with achieving their goals due to inefficiencies and lack of direction. Tony Robbins' RPM framework can transform this approach. The RPM framework provides a roadmap for success. You'll soon see how applying these principles can revolutionize healthcare project management and lead to better outcomes for everyone involved. Let's take a deeper dive into applying the RPM framework to healthcare project management. It all begins with defining your outcomes. Think improved patient care, operational efficiency, and data accuracy. These goals set the stage for transformation. Next, understand your why. This is where you align your efforts with greater purposes like patient-centered care, innovation, and sustainability. A clear why gives you direction and purpose. Now, create your roadmap. Engage stakeholders early and often. Conduct readiness assessments to gauge where you are and what you need. Develop comprehensive training programs to bring everyone up to speed. Set concrete milestones and metrics so you can measure progress along the way. And don't forget, communication is key. Regular updates keep everyone aligned and motivated. Lastly, focus on the 20% of actions that will yield 80% of the results. This principle keeps you efficient and effective, concentrating efforts where they matter most. By following these steps, you harness the power of the RPM framework to reimagine project management in healthcare. This approach transforms outcomes and drives innovation in real-world examples. By applying the RPM framework, healthcare organizations can achieve transformative results. Imagine enhanced patient care, streamlined operations, and accurate data management. These are not just possibilities, but tangible outcomes. Real-life examples showcase the remarkable successes already achieved. Increased efficiency in patient care and precise data management demonstrates the framework's profound impact. Now it's your turn to start the transformation. If you seek guidance or assistance, don't hesitate to reach out. Your journey to better healthcare project management begins now. Join Healthcare Project Management Association, or HPMA, today. Your first step in this adventure is contacting Ian Slade at ian@itconsultinggroup.com. He can guide your path from there.